Hello everybody, this is the fifth video in the Reduce Your Tinnitus meditation videos. There won't be any actual exercises in this one. This is something that Andrew's talking about. He's trying to explain to us the emotional connection between you and your tinnitus and how these meditation videos can help and have helped other patients that he has had in his clinic in Harley Street. So you don't have to listen to this one, but I think it's interesting. I think it's worth listening to. And then after this one, we will be doing the next exercise. We will be doing some deeper exercises in the next one of actually calming the mind and the nervous system. So I will hand over to Andrew now.
Hello, it's Andrew Parr here again. Welcome back to the next part of this tinnitus reduction program. Retrain your brain to turn down the sound. Now, it suddenly dawned on me that I hadn't actually clarified exactly what results we're looking to achieve. Tinnitus reduction, turn down the sound. There's an implication there that we can make the sound quieter, reduce the tinnitus, send it away. And in many, many cases, I believe we can do that. You can do that. Actually, I believe it's personally possible for everybody to achieve that to lesser or greater degrees. But that is not the entire aim of this program. If you came across this program via the website, then the headline I put on the website was Reduce Your Tinnitus Suffering. Reduce your tinnitus suffering. And there's something very important in that. Because many people have tinnitus and it just doesn't bother them. It has no impact on their life whatsoever. There's no bearing, they just get on with their life, it comes, it goes, they can be there and don't even think about it. And yet for others, just the very slightest twinge, the slightest notion of it being there can create anxiety, panic, stress, tension, fear, and really the idea that life has to go on hold until this invader has been repelled and removed. So really we're not just talking about the sounds that you've been hearing up until now. What we're really also talking about is your response to it, in particular your emotional response to that sound. That is the most important factor, I believe. And obviously many other people believe that too. There have been some studies into this, of course. And I'm sure that most professionals working with tinnitus patients will have noticed the difference in personality types, or they should have at least. So, some people seem to be very happy-go-lucky with it. And it comes, it goes, it's gone. Or it comes, it stays, and they don't mind too much. Others become fixated on it. It becomes the very center of their world, as if nothing else can exist until this thing has been dealt with. For other people, that will change over a period of time, or there may be a pattern to that change. Sometimes it actually goes away and you think it's gone and you feel great. Or it's tingling in the background and you barely notice it. Then it may come on stronger one day and life just falls apart for a few hours, a few days, a few weeks, or whatever it is. Then things change again and it may drift away and suddenly everything's okay again and you feel, oh great, it's gone, and you can be happy once more. So really here your emotions are really at the beck and call of that sound, whether it comes or goes, and there's this waves you have to ride. Sometimes the sea's calm, sometimes it's very stormy, and you feel lost at sea. So, when I say reducing your tinnitus suffering, we're not really just talking about trying to get that sound further into the background. We're also really focusing on letting go of any emotional attachment you have to that sound. Or, to rephrase that more positively, becoming more emotionally detached from the sound. Becoming emotionally detached from it. Now, this is a bit of a chicken and egg situation too, because sometimes it may be the sound that triggers the emotions, or it could be certain emotions that trigger the sound. And this applies even when there is a physiological cause. People saying, well look, my ear's damaged, my cochlea is damaged, what on earth has this got to do with that? You know, many people have that damage and don't get tinnitus. Many people have hearing loss and don't experience the sounds that you may experience. And as far as I'm aware, no one has really identified exactly what the physiological difference is that makes that happen. There's no obvious, apparent physical reasons to why it should be different in certain people. But for the purposes here of this recording, of this reduction program designed to help you, what is important is that something about that has bothered you enough to want to do something about it. And so it's having an emotional impact in your life. It may be a tiny one, or it may be a huge, catastrophic impact. But there will be an emotional impact in some way for you to have taken the time to research, look for a solution, and invest in this recording or any other treatments you may have. So, let's take a look at emotions for a while. In the last recordings, what we've done is we've given you some exercises, progressive relaxation and the rapid relaxation, to help you calm down. And those will provide a benefit to you. Then we began to look at how your thoughts and ideas influence your body. And I skimmed over it, and I gave you the core idea there. I could spend hours describing that process to you, but I gave you the core idea. And I suggested the idea that you start focusing on what you want, not what you don't want, on what you want. And I gave a few examples there. And when you rephrase a sentence or a thought or a statement in your mind, the emotional oomph, I can't think of a better way of describing it other than the emotional oomph at the end of that sentence, that statement, that thought, changes when you focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. And it's that emotional oomph that somehow gets deep into your mind, deep into your unconsciousness, and then filters through into the biology of your body. The psychobiology research suggested the hypothalamus was the seat of the emotions. That's where thoughts became chemicals. In tinnitus, they quite often talk about the limbic system, where the tinnitus sound moves into the emotional system of the brain, the limbic system of the brain. So this idea has a very scientific basis here, what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into the neurology of it too much because I'll cover that on the website if you want to research it more. But right now, I just wanted to get you through some thoughts and ideas to help you begin to change how you feel. Because when you change how you feel, that will make a difference. So the previous recordings there were helping you begin to focus on what you want, to point your mind in the direction of that change. And by focusing on what you want with a positive feeling, it sends that positive oomph into your mind, into your brain, down into your body, which then can begin setting about some changes in your biological processes. Now, if it were that simple, I would have a queue of people right down my street. If they could just come in, I could tell them that, and it would go away. I would have a never-ending queue of people, millions of people queuing down my street. So, it is that simple, but there are conditions, like I started to suggest before. There are conditions that must be fulfilled in order for that to work. So your emotions are part of those conditions there. They're part of that moving escalator, that staircase that needs to be going in the right direction, in the same direction, for us to flow forward. Focusing on what you want is important, but getting your inner emotions in alignment with that are also extremely important too. Now also in the last recording, I gave you a shortcut there. It's a huge shortcut. You have no idea what a shortcut that was. When I said, you need to focus on deserving to be happy. It's based on personally, my 10, 11,000 hours I've been through with people, plus my own studies, the research studies of others, some teachers who I really, really deeply respect, have pointed out the same idea to me, that really a lot of human problems come down to feeling unworthy, feeling like we're not good enough, haven't quite lived up to our potential, haven't quite achieved what we should have achieved, done what we should have done, haven't quite made ourselves lovable enough, likeable enough, whatever it is. There's something there that we're not quite worthy enough, we don't quite deserve to have what we really want. So the antidote to that is to begin to think about the idea, to accept that maybe actually you do. Maybe you do deserve to be happy. Maybe you are lovable enough, maybe you are likeable enough, maybe you actually have done enough, but you never had to do anything in the first place. You just thought you did. So this idea, this shortcut, that to begin to think about the idea that you deserve to be happy, that you deserve to be free of the suffering now. You deserve to be free of this sound, or the effect of this sound on you. As you focus on this idea, this really is such a huge shortcut to really one of the secrets of life and happiness. Now, what I want to do now is just expand on that a little to, in a way, see if I can show you how or why that may have come into being, that you don't feel that. The very first person who came to see me with tinnitus, she sat down, we had a chat, and I could see she was fearful, she was afraid. Now, I didn't know what the source was at that time, but we had a chat, and I said, okay, let's put this sound over there for a moment, let's put this sound, this problem to side. Let me just tell me a bit about you, about yourself, what you're thinking, what you're feeling right now, what you're going through. And she told me some things about her life, some quite frightening health experiences she just had. But she said she'd come through them okay, but they'd really reminded her of an old feeling. And we went back into that old feeling. I used hypnosis at that time. We used hypnotherapy, very simple regression techniques, just to let her mind drift back. And really, we went back 10 years to when she had a very serious health scare. She thought she was going to die back then. And basically, she panicked. And the panic and the fear just locked into her body, locked into her almost everywhere. And in some way it had stayed there ever since, just in the background. So every time a little twinge or discomfort or an illness or disease or something like that came along for a bit, in a way it triggered this panic, this fear that, am I going to die? And what we did there, as we tapped into that fear, and as we used some very simple techniques to begin to release that fear, to embrace it, to allow it to be experienced, to be set free, then that set her free from the whole process, the whole issue. It just began to dissolve away. And in that moment, that's when her tinnitus dissolved away too. The next guy who came to see me had a similar thing. He came about something else actually, but we sorted that out quite quickly. And he mentioned about his hearing, his ear, and this sound, this buzzing, and this keeping him awake at night, and all this thing. And I wasn't really that familiar with tinnitus at the time, but I did a similar thing. Okay, let's have a look and see what we can find out. And with this chap too, there was a big, big fear. A big fear. And as we looked into the fear, it's a very, very different fear. Yet still a fear of survival, if we take it back. It did come down to a fear of death and dying too, but in a very, very different way. Heights related. This was related to fear of heights, and flying and such. And after very stressful flights, with the fear, the anxiety, the panic, he'd been in panic attacks pretty much all the way through the flight. As we began to resolve that, and give some suggestions and some visualizations which I haven't come on to yet. I will go through that with you, it's coming up soon. As we did that with him, released that, pointed his mind in focusing what he wants from now on, gave some visualizations to go with that. So that moment, as he walked out of my room, he looked at me and said, something's changed, something's different. And walked away, and I didn't hear from him for a whole year. And he was back in London about a year later, and he called up and said, could he come in for a chat? And the first thing I said was, it's one of those, I never know whether to ask about tinnitus or not, because you ask about it and it reminds people of it. But I was interested from a research point of view, so I said, how's the sound in your ears? And he really genuinely looked puzzled and said, oh, I forgot we did that. He said it went after that session, pretty much. Very occasionally in the quiet moments, drifting off to sleep, he may hear it now and again, but it pretty much disappeared after that session. Or, let's say, the suffering, the effect of it disappeared. It just became something in the background, something over there you notice now and again. So, also referring back to what I was clarifying earlier, it's not necessarily about eliminating the sound entirely, it's about helping you reduce or eliminate your suffering from that sound. And then in a strange way, when you do that, the sound tends to take care of itself. The alarm is no longer needed. The signal can reduce, wind down. Now this is very nice when it happens very quickly. Those two people will happen very quickly. Another lady who came to see me, she was a school teacher, I believe. And the tinnitus had suddenly come on when she was on holiday in a hot tub, I think, if I remember correctly, a spa or a hot tub. Suddenly this sound just burst into her ears, whatever. Couldn't get rid of it. So once again I said, okay, let's put this sound to the side, tell me about you, tell me about your life, what's it like? And she described her life, it was okay, it's good, but quite stressful at work. A lot of pressure, a lot of stress, boss putting pressure on her. A school teacher, there's noise, classroom, just hassle around her, the teacher's having a go at her, couldn't escape, nowhere to get away, couldn't escape. And the tinnitus was really reproducing or just amplifying these symptoms of, I can't get away from this oppressive noise, this barrage that's just hassling me. So again I said, right, let's just put this sound to the side, let's have a look about you, see what we can find out about yourself. And we look back into some of her earlier days, her younger days, just as a starting point to see what would happen. And we found a life where, life at home was not great. If I remember, I think it was her brother causing a lot of problems. And a session, we did about 4, 5, 6 sessions altogether, I think. And again we'd find scenes and situations where she's just locked in her bedroom hiding away, trying to hide away from the noise, the fear, the oppression, the barrage of, in a way, sound abuse from her household. Just couldn't get away from it. She couldn't wait to leave home, to sitting in the bedroom, hands clasped over her ears, willing her brother to be quiet, willing her family to stop fighting with him, stop shouting with him. And the feeling she had from this was exactly the same as the tinnitus was creating within her. So again, as we resolve this, as we dealt with these feelings, the fears, the issues, the invasive feelings, then gently, gradually, as she began to feel different, at work first of all, or something changed at work then, which it's like the twilight zone, the number of times that happens. We resolve issues, then, something changed at work today, or somebody left, or a new person came. That happens all the time. So with this girl too, the same thing happened, and then gently, gradually, her sound began to reduce. It just became more in the background. I emailed her sometime later, 5, 6 months after, I think, just see how she was doing. And she said, yeah, it's still there now and again, still notice it, just here and there, but it doesn't really bother me, it's much quieter, and it's just not an issue anymore. So as far as I was concerned, that was a very successful outcome. Her suffering had been reduced or virtually eliminated completely. Now, for some people people, and you may be one of these people, this kind of process is very relevant. There may be strong emotions attached to your tinnitus suffering. Or there may be very gentle emotions. Or there may be no direct emotions. You can say, well, what if I just spent too many years going to too many gigs? What if I'm the drummer in a rock band? My ears are just ringing like mad. And I was having trouble sleeping at night because of it. Again, the same applies. Even though there may not have been an emotional cause for these, it will be feelings and emotions that continue to exacerbate the symptoms. And so when we can help you reduce the feelings and the emotions, the symptoms themselves can be reduced, or the effect of those symptoms can be reduced. They can dissolve away because they are no longer required. It's as if they can go back to sleep. Now this phenomena applies to pretty much all areas of life. It's your thoughts, your beliefs, your inner feelings, your inner emotions that will be affecting you on a day-to-day basis. Now, you don't need to go into your past to sort this out. You don't need to go hunting around for what caused it, what made it happen, because that can provide a problem in itself. Actually, you become obsessed with trying to find the cause, and if you can't find the cause, you can't be free of it, so that becomes a problem which we want to avoid too. Now, I use this process with clients who come to see me because it's a very quick way, a very easy way of helping them sort out the kind of issues that may be contributing to their suffering. And usually within three to 6 sessions of going through some things like this, we start to get some emotional release. And then either directly or indirectly it will help reduce the symptoms. In most people, the majority of people. Some people of a particular personality type, we have to use quite a different approach. But for most people, we can get an emotional result this way, which will have a positive impact on the letting go of your tinnitus experience. So, whilst I can't take you through as fully an experience as I would as if you were sat here in my office, or if I was sat with you completely, but what I can do is point your mind in the right direction and just see what happens. So the next exercise we're going to do is really based around that. Pointing your mind in the right direction just to see what comes up. And then as we do that, I'll go through something with you to help you begin to release it in the present moment, to deal with it in the present moment. Okay? People who come to see me, they don't really want to come and see me and then me tell them, look, you can do this yourself. They want me to do it for them. Okay? Which I oblige to the best I can if it's going to work with those people. But I believe there is a way for you to do this yourself, and this is the way that I resolve my stuff nowadays. I don't go and see anybody anymore when I have problems or issues. I just use what I know on myself. So I'm going to go through that with you so that you have a tool that you can use yourself to deal with feelings and emotions as they arise, which may have been contributing to your tinnitus or may have been caused by it. So it doesn't matter which part of the loop we step into, dealing with these feelings, these emotions will begin to make a difference for you. I'm going to end this recording right now, and the next one will be an exercise, a guided exercise for you to have a look into that. Now you need to be aware that for this next exercise, it's really important that you set aside 20 to 30 minutes or so where you won't be disturbed at all. Your phones are switched off, mobile phone, home phone switched off, your cell phone switched off. Maybe curtains drawn just to dim the lighting a little bit. Make sure you're warm, make sure you're comfortable. Using a comfortable pair of headphones as well will make a big difference to these exercises now. And really where you can just let go for a while. Now you can do this before you go to sleep if you wish, for night time. But if you're too tired, you'll just be nodding off before you get the real benefit. It doesn't really matter when, but some time where you can just relax, where your mind's not busy racing or thinking about what you've got to do. So choose a time that's good for you to do that. Make yourself comfortable, get your headphones ready, and I hope you enjoy the exercise. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Cheers.
Okay, so the next video we will be doing the meditation exercises, so we'll see you then.